India Today TV, along with 70 other news channels, is a proud member of the News Broadcasters Association since 2007. We strictly follow the code of ethics and guidelines issued by NBSA. Beware of unregulated channels.
Remember, as I said, the first polls that are taking place in this new era where there will be restrictions on campaigning, also on the manner in which the polls will take place. A big challenge ahead of the Election Commission. Nitish Kumar hoping to create a slice of history, hoping to win a fourth consecutive term. Remember, he's been Chief Minister 4 times, but this would be his fourth consecutive term that started off way back in 2005. So Nitish Kumar once again hoping to establish himself as Neta number 1. Pitted against him, the RJD-led coalition. Lalu Prasad, remember, is in jail, but his son Tejaswi is likely to be projected as the face of the coalition. So on the one side, you will have the JDU-BJP combined. On the other side, the RJD, Congress, and there is also the possibility of a smaller third front emerging.
बिहार की जनता चाहती है कि फिर एक बार एनडीए की बिहार में सरकार बने जा करके, ताकि बिहार का विकास का रफ्तार तेज हो जा करके, और जो भ्रम की स्थिति पैदा की जा रही है, गुमराह जो किया जा रहा है करके है, उसका पर्दाफाश हम करने जा रहे हैं।
जंग में के मैदान में हम लोग पहले से तैयार है। घोषणा करना चुनाव आयोग का दायित्व है। निश्चित तौर पर हम लोग चुनाव में जाएंगे, फिर से नीतीश कुमार जी बिहार के मुख्यमंत्री बनेंगे।
I want to go across to National Affairs editor Rahul Srivastava, who's covered elections for more than 3 decades now. But Rahul, even after covering 3 decades of elections, I guess this is an election like no other, because it's the first election, as we are saying, that's going to be taking place in the age of physical distancing in COVID times. So the Election Commission will be putting in various rules and regulations both on campaigning and on polling. Give us a sense of these norms that are under which this election will take place for the first time.
Rajiv, what's Bihar election when there is social distancing? You see, Bihar and UP present one of the, I think, the best election across the globe, I think. And if you remember last time around, or the Lok Sabha election before that, that famous rally addressed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the BJP's Chief Minister, Prime Minister candidate, the blast and the people injured and the kind of action which it generated. Rajiv, this time around is going to be totally different. There are going to be no large gatherings. When the convoys for campaigning are moving, they'll have to be with a proper distance, 10 vehicles only. The next convoy can only be after half an hour. It can't be that 100 meters prescription earlier. Only it can be done online. The nomination can be done online. Payments can be made online. Only 2 people are allowed to accompany a candidate who's filing nominations. Means that all that drama, tamasha and the yatras which used to take place for nominations, that's not going to be there. Large halls, not small booths this time around. I think there are going to be much larger number of polling booths. So what one can say is that under the shadow of COVID-19, this is going to be an extremely different election for the people of Bihar. People of Bihar, who I think, Rajdeep, have been one of the worst victims, a large segment of them, Rajdeep. If you recall, lakhs of them were hit by COVID-19 and the lockdown and the economic distress they faced. They had to trudge miles, hundreds and hundreds of miles. People had to travel on cycles, scooters, motorcycle, trucks to get back to their home. They were jobless when they reached there. The government came up with an MNREGA scheme, but that was not enough because that's not real livelihood. So they started immigrating back to the places of work, again, where the lockdown is existing in some form or the other, and the economic activity is really yet to start. And I think it's that shadow, not just COVID-19, what it did to the people of Bihar, I think that's also going to be a big decider in this election.
Right. Let's go and, as Rahul says, explain some of those new norms that are being put in place in these elections in Bihar for the first time. This is what is happening in these elections under the shadow of COVID. What are the COVID norms in place for Bihar election that we know of so far? Candidates can file their nominations online. So the usual tamasha by which candidates came in large processions to file nominations, that won't take place. Only 5 people will be allowed to campaign door to door. So you will have door-to-door campaigning, but perhaps it'll be more understated. Hand gloves will be provided to voters. Now remember, voters, and for voting also special arrangements will have to be made. Maximum 1,000 voters can vote at a polling station. Remember, Bihar has as many as 243 constituencies, one of the largest states in the country. So there will be more than 70 lakh polling booths where these facilities will have to be provided. Thermal scanning will take place of all the voters. Sanitizer, soap and water will be made available. Masks must during poll-related activities. Now remember, what it also means is the large rallies, the relas as Lalu would call it in his pomp at the Gandhi Maidan and the other big rallies, they are unlikely to take place. Social distancing will have to take place during rallies. So even for Prime Minister Modi, who generally likes the large rally, he will probably do more rallies virtually. A lot of campaigning will happen online. All polling staff will have to wear face shields. Quarantine patients can vote at the end. So complete effort being made by the Election Commission to try and ensure that democracy can in a way continue even in COVID times. I'm also joined by senior journalist Javed Ansari. Javed, the significance of these polls, the first big election test post-COVID, post an economy that has shrunk by 23% in the first quarter. Give us a sense of why you think these polls matter.
Well, these polls matter because they are the first real test of the government, both Nitish government and Mr. Modi, in the post-pandemic times. The economy is shrunk. China has gobbled up territory. The corona shows no signs of abating. In fact, it's on the increase. So in the midst of all this, this is the first time that the voters, people will be able to give their opinion, to express their opinion. It remains to be seen whether these are bread butter issues, whether bread butter issues matter, or whether social combinations and alliances matter. This will also be the first, perhaps, and I underline perhaps because his bail application is coming up in, I think, on the 3rd or the 4th of October. This will be the first election, perhaps will be fought in the absence of the charismatic Lalu Prasad Yadav. Let's Rahul Srivastava mention Prime Minister Modi's 2014 rally at the Gandhi Maidan. I'd like to remind everybody of Lalu and Nitish and Sonia Gandhi's joint rally at the Gandhi Maidan just before the announcement of the 2014 assembly elections. Nitish and Lalu had fought those elections together. These two brought a seismic change to the politics of Bihar. All the conservative calculations were turned on their head, but much water has flown down the river.
The Ganga, let's be clear, much water, as you rightly said, has flown down the Ganga in these in the last 5 years. The last election was Lalu and Nitish contesting the election together along with the Congress, and that was a formidable alliance that swept the election. That alliance, of course, broke by 2017. And so 2020, you have Nitish back with the BJP and Ramvilas Paswan on one side, and you have Lalu in jail. And therefore, it's Tejaswi along with the Congress and a host of smaller parties who hope to make some kind of a difference. I think the fact that Lalu isn't there, Rahul Srivastava, is perhaps one reason why this is a Bihar election again like no other. The last time Lalu was not on the scene was in the 80s. So for 30 years, Bihar's politics, Rahul Srivastava, has been dominated by Lalu Prasad. Now you will have an election without Lalu in a way as a central figure for the first time in 3 decades. That is another big change that's taking place.
Rajiv, there is, yes, this is the first assembly elections without Lalu Yadav, but I think both the RJD and the people of Bihar are used to the idea of Lalu not being there because 2019 election, Lalu Prasad Yadav wasn't there. So the idea is not new to them. But what has transpired within the RJD post Lalu Prasad Yadav in jail is, I think, more critical. One, there was a push by the RJD that somewhere Tejaswi should get a better place in the coalition with Nitish Kumar. Nitish Kumar, the wily politician that he is, he knew that if that would actually mean ceding a lot of space, so he ensured that through his maneuvers that he came back to power with the BJP. What is interesting, Rajdeep, is that if you see the political spectrum in Bihar, Nitish seems to be the only leader. Even the BJP, which may have Narendra Modi at the center, does not have leadership in Bihar. Say in Punjab, say in the kind of states where it's still dependent on leadership on its alliance partner. Somewhere within the BJP in Bihar, there is a bit of a resentment that BJP on its own can do very well, but it needs a leader in Bihar, and that's where it's dependent on Nitish Kumar. Rajiv, I'm getting one bit of information from my sources, is that the Election Commission may announce a schedule in which the polling may be over before the Diwali and Chhath festivities, that is sometime around the 13th of November. There was a discussion whether the festival should be sandwiched in between, but now there was a decision eventually that will need a lot of security and other arrangements. Right. And that's why the polling is likely to be over by the time it is November 13th.
We're also being told that unlike in the past where Bihar has had 5 or 6 phase election, this time it's likely to be maximum 2 to 3 phases. We'll have to wait and see whether that also happens, because the Election Commission doesn't want in COVID times an elongated schedule. Remember, it's only one state this time that's going to the polls. So they would prefer if it is done. Is that correct, Rahul?
Rajdeep, I would like to say I have been speaking to the Election Commission officials for the last 1 month now. They are facing an acute problem, Rajdeep. You know that because of the standoff with China, a lot of forces, even paramilitary, both in Kashmir, Ladakh, other regions, have been placed into service. The Election Commission wanted a schedule in which that kind of availability has to be there in Bihar, because this time now in Bihar you don't need people and paramilitary forces for law and order, I think, as much, but I think this time around more will be needed for ensuring social distancing, and that is why there is a problem that a staggered schedule, how long will they stagger it? I think some sources are also saying that if there is a longer phased election, it could well be because of the lack of availability of forces, because of what's happening in Kashmir and the tension at the LOC and the LAC.
We'll have to see if that happens. Rajat Sethi also joins us at this moment, political analyst. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Sethi. Let's look at the key issues. You know, we were playing out key issues at the moment. Is this election as much about Prime Minister Modi as it is about the state leaders? Mr. Modi has, as past polls have shown, enjoys huge popularity in Bihar. It's one of the states where his popularity is way above that of the BJP as well. So is Mr. Modi the factor, even though this is a state election?
Well, I think what Prime Minister Modi highlighted a few days back in his video conferencing address is that the state of Bihar is undergoing a transformation. The job isn't complete by any stretch of imagination. He also talked about how the cities are coming under this enormous demographic pressure because of migration from the villages into city, and by any metrics, the only city in Bihar is Patna, and it is almost crumbling because of the pressure of population all converging into that city. So I think urban infrastructure. We also remember last year, because of the floods, massive areas in Patna were submerged in water, not just during the rains, but at least a month after that. So I think these issues might take the center space, because we might as well see that the Lalu factor not being there, a lot of caste-based things in the hinterland will continue as it is, but in certain urban pockets, we might see that certain urban concerns, urban questions might come to the fore for the very first time. So this might be something new, and this is where the young population.
That's a very interesting argument. That's a very interesting factor, that there is this new sort of urban, semi-urban voter, a younger voter who may well look at politics, Javed Ansari, beyond the Mandal era. It would be probably premature to suggest that we are in a post-Mandal era, but look at what happened last year. Out of the 40 seats in Bihar, the BJP-led alliance, I think, won 39. Just one seat went to the Congress and one to the RJD. So 38 out of 40, if I'm not mistaken. Given that, do you believe that caste now plays less of a role in Bihar's traditional Mandalized politics? And what Narendra Modi has successfully done is managed to stitch a coalition that goes beyond the traditional caste alignments?
Rajdeep, in an ideal world, that should be true, but I do believe, given what I saw in the last elections and whatever little I know of Bihar, that this is more a case of triumph, of hope, or experience. Bihar still votes largely. Narendra Modi are two people who have delivered, and therefore, and they've stitched together a formidable coalition, and also a social coalition, not just a coalition of political parties, but see the castes that are arranged behind them. That's formidable, and there the RJD, the Mahagathbandhan, is lagging behind. And one other reason why the BJP has opted for Nitish Kumar is that they've learned their lessons from states like Delhi. That they realize that you need a local leader. Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah can do a lot of stuff, but you need a local face to be able to pull it over to take it across the line. They lacked that in Delhi, and they realized very early on. Soon after Delhi, they made it abundantly clear that it would be Mr. Nitish Kumar under whose leadership they will contest. They need a local leader, and that's a failing. Shortcoming they realize, and they've been quick enough to plug that.
Let me turn to one of the best political analysts on North India at the moment. Rahul Verma, fellow at the Center for Policy Research, joins us. Rahul, do you believe that this election is like no other that Bihar has seen in state assembly terms in the last 3 decades? For the first time, in a way, it appears that we may well have a politics that looks beyond just the traditional caste alignment. So do you believe caste remains the sort of inexorable factor of Bihar politics?
Thank you, Rajdeep, for kind words. Absolutely. I think this is a very, very important election for Bihar, not just the background, which is this election taking place in COVID era, but I think the results of this election is going to shape Bihar for a very, very long time. Similarly, very similar like to 1990 election when Lalu Yadav first came to power. If RJD does not do well in this election, then this would mean the end of Lalu Prasad Yadav's politics in Bihar. And perhaps a new fulcrum would open up. I don't know whether in the post-election scenario, JDU and BJP will continue to remain partners. If RJD is finished, they might very well become the opponents. So that's the first thing which is going to happen. Second, on your question about traditional loyalties, traditional caste matrices playing a role, they are of course going to be there, but they are changing, especially given what we see in Lok Sabha elections, where Prime Minister Modi manages to transcend these divides. BJP, along with its partners, got more than 53% of vote share in 2019 election, which means somewhere Modi manages to wean away old caste loyalties. And if it continues to happen, then perhaps our old understanding of that North Indian politics is guided solely by caste considerations should start changing. It happened not just in Bihar, also in UP, where, you know, the old formulation of counting the caste didn't work. SP and BSP on paper were a very, very formidable alliance, but BJP transcended that. Can BJP do that without Modi leading the charge, or when he himself is in the race? That's again a question we will see.
You know, that's one of the very fascinating questions, whether in a state election Mr. Modi is able to transcend caste as effectively as he is in a national election, as he showed in 2019, but wasn't able to replicate it in Jharkhand and Maharashtra, you might recall, in the latter half of the year. The question, Rajat Sethi, and this is one of the intriguing questions of Bihar, while the BJP has said very clearly that Nitish Kumar is their chief ministerial candidate, there is this buzz on the ground that eventually the BJP would like to emerge as party number one this time and possibly at some stage stake claim for the chief ministership. Do you believe that is one of the possibilities that exist, that the BJP would not like to play a secondary role like in Maharashtra? They eventually want to be the major partner in any alliance.
Well, if wishes were horses, certainly. But we need to understand there that BJP somehow hasn't worked towards expanding its footprint in that state. it could as well be like a conscious decision that we are going to limit ourselves in the areas where we have had fought elections and we have a cadre base. But I'm pretty surprised that with the kind of appetite that the BJP has, they've really not worked on really expanding their base, at least on the organizational level. You might not contest elections, but I still feel that they are a notch below when you compare the BJP state units, say in the state of Madhya Pradesh, UP, even Jharkhand for that matter. So I think it is also because of the fact that some of the leaders there are very status quoist in their approach. They don't want to change the delicate balance, the political balance, which allows a stable government for all of these years. And they don't want to unnecessarily touch that. And I think they will be buying time, waiting for a good, strong, rooted leader to emerge at the state level. And perhaps then BJP will have some level of confidence to at least build an organization beyond its core strength areas. And I think that is going to take time. I don't foresee that happening in the at least next 5 years, because the Chief Minister Nitish is going to continue minimum for next 5 years. He is growing old as well. So there is a
you seem to believe it's a done deal. You seem to believe that there is that this election, as far as the winner is concerned, is a done deal.
There is no election this time. There is no competition at all. It is going to, I mean, the government is going to continue. They're going to win by absolute majority. I also believe that there is deep divisions within the opposition. The Mahagathbandhan is a failed project. You don't see any convergence on set of ideas, how to go about it, what is the strategy, nothing at all. So I think it will be like a clean sweep. There is no contest.
You know that as poll analysts, that's the last thing we want to hear, because then the excitement goes. But you may well be right, given what happened in 2019. Javed Ansari, do you believe Rajat Sethi when he says it's a done deal, it's over, even before the polls begin?
Well, it's never over till the fat lady sings, but I do largely agree with what Mr. Sethi says. All evidence from the ground seems to suggest that the NDA should comfortably sail through, unless, of course, Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav gets bail and then comes out. Then it could prove to be a contest. It could prove to be a contest. It may still not change the ultimate result, but it could then prove to be a contest.
You know, that is, Rahul Srivastava, part of the problem at the moment for the opposition, is that they just haven't got their act together since the 2019 election debacle in Bihar. Unlike in Maharashtra, where the NCP was able to sort of, in a way, stitch the alliance together with the Shiv Sena leaving the BJP, here even that seems unlikely. So the opposition's best hope at the moment seems to be, can they somehow or the other stop Nitish and the BJP from reaching the halfway mark? But even that seems improbable. Would you agree that the opposition in Bihar just hasn't got its act together?
Rajdip, a lot of this assessment which is being done is based on the fact what is happening in the political parties. I think it is not really factored in the fact that there is deep resentment in Bihar on the manner in which how people of Bihar, migrants, laborers and others have been dealt with in the last 5 months. I think if I take that as the base of the assessment, there is perhaps can be a different story. It has been seen in North India, and I think maybe in other places also, but I'm sure in North India, that whenever there is an aspirational crowd which voted for Narendra Modi, breaking the caste lines, but whenever there is distress, then people don't have much beyond the caste and other emotive appeals and connects to go back into that fold. And right now, there is a sense of distress in Bihar. Rajdip, people are unhappy with Nitish Kumar saying that he's not ready to bring people back from various states, then a very lazy response to it. And then when people come back, somehow or the other, I think somewhere that they had a feeling that they were not taken care of. You see, you may create a Bihari pride, Sushant Singh Rajput kind of element. That was done because somewhere the BJP and the JDU realized that there is a there is a social and economic distress. That wouldn't have happened if there was no distress. So if that is an admission that there is distress, now you should take that distress. Which way are those aspirational people who voted beyond caste lines for Narendra Modi in 2019 going to go? I think that perhaps is going to be decided. If people feel estranged, because of their new ideas, they may go back to the old entrenched ideas.
Let me take that's an interesting analysis. Let me take that to Rahul Verma. Rahul, what do you see as the critical issues in this election? Do you agree with the general thesis that this is a one-sided election, quite simply because the BJP, JDU, Paswan alliance, purely in arithmetical terms, seems to be just too large, while on the other side, the so-called grand alliance of the opposition is still not formulated. We still don't know whether Kushwaha's party, whether Saini's party will actually be part of it. We are told the left will be part of it, but it's all very uncertain on one side, and you have a formidable alliance on the other. Is it as one-sided? And if so, what's that critical issue? Is it just arithmetic, or simply there is no alternative to Nitish?
So I think what you said while you were asking your question to Rajat, that for a political analyst, if it seems like that election is already over before it was announced, it's boring. But I'm not going to say that Bihar election may throw a big surprise, because I just want it to be interesting from an electoral analyst point of view. The important thing is that NDA is certainly ahead in the game. Ahead in the game because of social arithmetic they have, ahead in the game because their house seems to be in order, whereas the opposition seems to be sort of like fighting its own internal battle. Ahead in the game because they have a clear leadership, and there is sort of a question mark on Tejasvi Yadav. Not as a RJD leader, but I think a lot of people do not trust him as a serious politician, because he has been missing there for last 1 year. Since 2019, whenever a big crisis happened, we did not see Tejasvi on the scene. But what Rahul Srivastava was saying, that's a very, very important point. I think on the question of governance, Nitish has not done enough, especially after coming back to power in 2017. Similarly, I think he's also absolutely right that there is a distress, and there is a sizable section of people who are not happy with all the promises that were made to them in 2019. And there is a section of migrants who think that they were not taken care of in their worst moments. Now,
because we are getting, I just want to start, we are getting some pictures, Rahul, of farmer protests today that are taking place in Bihar. We've seen earlier anger among migrants in Bihar. Today we are seeing farmer protests. There have been, if you look at some unemployment figures, they are very, very high for Bihar. And there's a sense that, as you said, Nitish Kumar in term 3 has very little to offer compared to his first 2 terms. He could offer Sadak in one term, he could try and offer Bijli in the other term. Law and order was an important element in term 1. This time, what does Nitish Kumar have to offer? Do you believe that is a factor at all again?
Yes, I do not want to rule out that factor. And we will, given in this election, I expect that the turnout should go up, especially because a lot of migrants have returned back and they have not gone back to the city. So a sizable section has stayed in Bihar. The expectation would be that they should be turning out. Of course, there is also sort of like COVID factor looming large. People might have safety concerns and don't turn out. But I do not want to rule out the possibility of that there is an anger. And given there is still 3 to 4 weeks, if opposition gets its act together, they can certainly make a contest out of it.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.